Da Kazan Capsula Chesito to this Chubare, and drink that Torja Chanson, Telo Naroda, Marba Mela, Chujekamo, Tusumisha, Kunjan Karmaba, Cheshi Chunja, Jubozenanda, 2000 Polden Roboso, Sablam Chakia Chelanganebe, Nyametrogon, Tabuka Jula, so there's a Kagyu Laman, Jubozena, Namdra Chingelos, that doesn't need Anita Ranzo. Takajubegi, Jubadi, Kawaturan, Chugudojicha, Chang, that Chugudojicha, Telo Sharab Sambo, Tan Narujana City, Marbachi Lodro, Milasheba Dorje, Ndabot, Tavishuno, Ndada Caps Baba Dena, Chujetusum Kemba, that those 2 days, and indeed the Dangaranzini, Malakazan Shubare, Jubi Lama. Tesola, Tozik so combat, Tomzo so combat, ni Yobares, then the combat Mentawani, cousin Shutsabain. That's a dangi, and then Cheshi Chungi, Tadini Matsidi, lay on the capsula, and the Cheshi Kare, Chungi Kares, Samsamla, and the Sigla, Shambashone. Then there you do, that Manzuki, Chidan Cheshi Chungi, Yon Rada Bachebana. Da kandes shugyo res dugala tene tada param kambuba gi tene tekara ma gyusha badala tene che shis ta dishudyo kapsala yang engom surum ningbule ma gyurbe ne shang saba chundu dade tekar remendos ta samsamla ta dolung dos che gyorde ta ngaran sudan Sigla dolong cheme, so the Yamlin Chiguar. Nani Chenshawa Tamjegi, Nota Kai Yomare, Tawa Combo Chobala, Che Chung the Kai Yomare, Tachi and Gamba de la Gambas, Jumba de la Jumbas, Lani, and those that see the Charcha Barada, and Aburimbuchi, and Tegara Juba de la Gamba Rejas. And it didn't the Hana and Pamutuban, the Majuba de la Jumba Rejas, Tagum Chechon Dang. And Yamdo sang and down, then the Korakaja, Lingua Marada, Chichi Chungi, City, Leon, the Che Shidi, Namju Rajabana, Param Dharma Wanjole, and the Param Kaju, Pautu Doji Jabole, and the Pautu Kaju, and the Paldin Dusum Kembale, and the Kamsan Kaju, then Shans of Sundu Dabale, Salva Kajus, the Yonragi, Kaju Che Shidi, Tishagore. The Chung Jedi, the Kalsan Sangya Tomaji, Kurwachiki Namtru, Pautu Dorje Jabole, Chabadala, and the Chujik din Sumju Combo, Le Majubatala, Tikunga Jus, the Tambatashi Bale, Majubatala, Talunga Jus, the Jalsap Kundin Reba, Le Majubatala, Choka Jus, the Lingre Pema Dojele, Majubatala, Tubaka Jus. Pang Marbasharap Yeshi Le Majubatala, Marsanga Jus, Trudup Sangi Yelba, Yeshitse Le Majubatala, Yelbaga Jus, the Sarakaldi Yeshile, Majubata, Yarsanga Jus, Nipu Jergum Chembole, Majubatala, Shuksepka Jus, Yongore. Bonda test Jogdines Re.
Please listen to this teaching this morning with thinking that all of our mothers, all sentient beings throughout space need to be brought to the state of the 4 Kais and 5 wisdoms, the state of the pervasive Lord Vajradhara. In this way, listen with the motivation of bodhicitta. The Dharma that we are listening to are the teachings on the definitive meaning of Mahamudra, the Vajradhara lineage prayer. Now, yesterday I spoke a little bit about the visualization of the Vajradhara lineage prayer. And this is in the beginning of the first verse, which reads, Great Vajradhara, Telo, Naropa, Marpa, Mila, Dharma, Lord Kampopa, the knower of 3 times, omniscient Karmapa, those who hold the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages, the Drikung and Takum Salpa, Great Trukpa, and others who've mastered Mahamudra's profound path, unequal protectors of beings, the Dapo Kagyu, we supplicate you, Kagyu Guru, to uphold your lineage. Please bless us to follow your example. And so now when we speak about the Kagyu lineage, who does the Kagyu lineage go back to? It goes back to the Dharmachakra Vajradhara. Vajradhara gave it to, passed the lineage on to Tilopa Pradyabhadra, who passed it on to Naropa Jnana Siddhi. Naropa passed it on to Marpa Chiki Lodro. Marpa passed it on to Mila Shiva Dorje, who passed it to Dapo Chandraprabha. And then that's Gampopa, and Gampopa passed it on to the first Karmapa Dusum Khyempa. And so then it speaks, the prayer speaks of the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, you can visualize the lineage either as a crowd or in a column. Either way is fine. So that's what I described yesterday. So what we've come to now are the 4 elder and the 8 younger lineages. And sometimes people wonder, what are the 4 elder lineages? What are the 4 younger lineages? What do we mean by these? And so people get really attached to the words here. And in general, when we talk about these 4 elder and younger lineages, sometimes it's translated more literally as the 4 greater and 8 lesser lineages. And people wonder, is there a difference of the realization between these lineages? Well, it's not. Actually, it's that those lineages that originate directly from direct disciples of Gampopa are called the 4 elder lineages. And so now these are the lineages that are the bottom Kagyu, the Pakdru Kagyu, the Kamsan Kagyu, and the Tsalpa Kagyu. Now some people say, well, Shang Tsalpa, the originator of the Tsalpa lineage, was not actually a direct student of Gampopa, but it's not really, that's not such the important level. He's on that same generation. So these are the, and there's no difference of them in terms of liberation and omniscience. There, in terms of their abandonment and realization, there's no difference in terms of being greater and lesser. It's just these are the first generation right after Gampopa. And so it's really just an order of being senior or junior. And so the junior lineages or the younger lineages would include the 8 lineages that came from the students of Mahamudra. These are the younger lineages. So there's no distinction in terms of quality of abandonment or realization. There's no distinction of better or worse. It's a question of which generation they started from. So the 4 elder lineages include the bottom Kagyu that came from bottom Dharmachakra, the Padru Kagyu that comes from Mahamudra, the Karma Kagyu that originated from Dusum Khyempa, the Tsalpa Kagyu that started from Shang Tsalpa. And also, so these are the 4, and these are well known as, these are generally accepted to be the 4 elder lineages. In terms of the lesser lineages, you have the lineages that began from the students of Mahamudra. These include the Jikung Kagyu that was started by Kyopa Jikung Sumdrung. There is the Takmung Kagyu that was started by the Lama Takmungpa. There's also the Tropu Kagyu, the Drukpa Kagyu, the Marzang Kagyu, the Yelpa Kagyu, the Yerpa Kagyu, and the students of Shungzep, the Shungzep Kagyu.
아니 감보바기 충분해서기도 가브레니야 쳔보기 세레세 된데 용기도 간다 콤페제 백해봐 네 감보바랑이자 아니 투이 예르메인스 네 댄사기 라마디 이보데 순나바르스나 엔건수르니 못나바레 다보 댄살라 댄디인디 Then Lama Samagi, Chuma Sugar Yomari, Chet, Chichik Tamagi, Chusure, Unambagi, Taburum Buchata, Ermetigure, Chikbatigure, Tindu, and Cheshi Jala, and Shane, Maduba Meba Sare, some good chance about the Indian Sare, some Sangarangi, and Kuala and Danda Buchabena.
Now, Gampopa had two main disciples. One was
冈波大师呢有两位主要的弟子，其中一位呢就是叫做粗智宁波。啊，他呢其实
the son of Gampopa's elder brother. And he was said to
大
be
师的弟
inseparable
弟，
from
或者说他
Gampopa
的
in
表
terms
弟。
of his wisdom
那么
mind.
他呢的心呢
So
跟冈波大
then
师
the
的
other
心是
one
无
is
二无别的。
Gomsu
另外一个叫做
and Gomsu
公粗，
was also
公粗呢，他
said to be
也是
inseparable from
跟
from
冈波大师呢
Gampopa.
的正
So
量是无二
their
无别的，
nephew,
他
or
两个
their
人的
student
心呢是无
disciples
二
are
无别的。
considered to be the same as having studied
所以
with Gampopa. And so in this way,
有一个说法，
these
就是他的弟子们
four
呢，
elder lineages would include the Tsapa,
就
who
是说
with Shang
跟他
Tsapa
学
was
习的弟
the
子们，等于是
who
跟
was
冈
a
波大师
student
学习
of
也无二无别
Gambutsu
的。
Nimbo. And so, by understanding this,
所
that
以
it's okay to
这两位
include
大
him
师呢
among the
所
elder
传下来
lineages
的
because he was a
这
disciple of
所谓的
Gambutsu
四
Nimbo,
大
who
的这个
was
传承呢，不管是出金
inseparable
英
from
或是公
Gampopa.
粗，这两位呢所传下来的，所谓的延续下来的传承，有四大传承的这样传承。所以呢，也许由于这两位的这个正量，他们的心呢是跟冈波大师无二无别，所以也可以说是大。
조디 네 감보바네 주바달라 채와 시중계 다 가서요 파도도 제게벌레 마주바다 중계 라마네 주바다 로마네 주바 된데다고 개발삼민 주라 삼도 다 분자적 남을 해나야 양 분자 긴션잡자 gem바들레 망보지 게줘바나 대 gem바 창레스 대 셴바 창레스 람네 난 색디 용대교래 된 색랑한조 시다 마제나 야기도 조된 안조 자기야 전부 또보디 귤라 깨고고도 냠렌 제고고도
And so, in this way,
那么
there
冈
is
波
no
巴大
difference
师的
in
传
terms
承
of
呢，
power,
虽然说所
realization,
传下
or
来的
fame, or
这些传承有所
glory
谓大小
between
之分，
the
我
elder
们
and
所
the
说
younger
的四大
lineages.
跟八
It's just
小
a，different way of
前
looking
面
at
所
them
说的
mentally.
就把
So those that are
吉列
descended
松
from
公
Gampopa
就
are
把
the four
说
elder.
吉列
Those
松
that
公
are
所
that have
传下来
descended
的
from
就是所
Pamodrupa
谓的
are
八
called
小。
the eight younger, because the difference between
那么
guru
另外一种说
and
法就是有
disciple.
老跟
It's like
少之分。
sometimes in
为
families
什么说
you
是老
have
呢？因为
the
是
elder and the younger called the senior and the
这个
junior.
一个家庭
It's
里
not
面
saying
如
that
果有
there's
所谓
any
哥哥跟弟弟啊，
greater
那么
difference.
前
So
面
you
讲
have
这两
sometimes
位
elder brothers
这
and
个
elder
非常有成就，跟
elder
冈波
children
大师
and
的心呢
younger
无二无
children
别的。
are
这
sometimes
出
talked
金宁
about
波
as
跟
being elder and senior. And it's not a distinction in
跟
quality. It's just the way we speak about them.
跟
In any
公主
case, what is
这
really
两位呢，
important is what is
是跟他
most
心无二无
important
别，
is
所以
that
呢
we
也
need
是
to
他的
develop
家
the
人，所以呢可
realization
以
of
说是一家
Mahamudra in
人，
our being,
所以
and we
这是
need
所
to
谓
do
的老
practice.
之分。那么其他就是小八小这样子。但其实这些传承呢，是不以文字为准，而是以他们的正量。所以呢，我们在修持这些传承呢，最主要是重于修持，重于心中能够去获得正量。
Now, what the Karma Kenshin Rinchen Taije says is that there is a
在
Lama.
过去的一位大学者，就是卡玛根钦塔杰，卡玛根钦塔杰。
Oh, right.
这位大学者。
Oh, yes. So there's a master named Kedruk Jamian Namgyal who is said to be an emanation of the noble Triyana. And he says that sometimes it is said that actually the distinction between the four elder and the four younger is actually within the disciples of Dosum Khenpa
分别呢是他另外一种话，是说是不是他是多松谦巴弟子的缘故。
랑종 상계 장강 바오스 다팅 아주 천도지 시점 전에요. 즉 대화를 소소냐 근데 조삼제기 조래 다 냠렌제라다 대 천도지라지 펜토 말하다 대바께 메바께나 팽게를 만나 내 소인소인 고향 쪽 말하더니
So, if we, in terms of the students of Dusum Khenpa, the 4 elder students would be Rei Chen,
这样来说的话呢，那么所谓的4大这个传承从比较人先让中三耶张康
So these are the 4 names. And so when we're doing study, we might take interest in the names, but when you're doing practice, there's not a whole lot of benefit to them. As long as you have faith, the important thing is to develop
我们最主要
faith,
是
and
对
that's
这些
enough.
传持的持有者呢，传承者是要有信心。至于说谁是谁，什么传承是怎么样的情况，这只是给我们听闻跟思维的范围里面，对我们的修持呢，并不是特别的重要。所以因为人名很多哈，所以我就把它念出来就好了。
Okay, so these are the there are also
不然的话呢，就是
the names of the 8 younger the lamas of the 8 younger lineages, and Rinpoche will read them.
Number 1 dilla ani Namka verse, number 2 dilla Yeshe verse, number 3 the Yunten verse, number 4 the Gedun verse, number 5 the Monlam verse, number 6 the Sudrim verse, number 7 the Dhamchoe verse, then number 8 the Sherab verse, dilla ne yang chechi chungges.
So these are also these are the names of the lamas from the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages.
我刚刚所说的只是一些名字，就是4大8相的传承持有者。
Now, when we talk about the Kamsang Kagyu, to explain where this name comes from in brief, because we do not have a whole lot of time, among the many students of Gampopa, the 3 primary students who were called the 3 men from Kam, and of them, one of them was called Kampa Use, or Kampa Gray Hair.
康巴的白头康巴，所谓康巴就是藏东的地方。因为我的那个我的 WiFi 很不稳定哦，所以断断续续听不清楚，可能翻译的时候没办法非常的完全。
다 냠len 타르친 서브르젤라 드네 조던데 가올라 제거레스네 드네 우장 감솜라 계랑 마오볼라
白头康巴呢，其实也就是第一世的大宝房独生千宝。
So Gampopa said to Kampa Utse, or Kampa Gray Hair, go do your practice in Kampo Gangra. So basically, at the time, once you'd receive the 5th instructions, then you'd go and practice and spend your time in retreat doing practice. And as you do the practice, then this would increase and develop your experience and realization. So Gampopa told Dusum Khenpa to go and practice. Then he told him that when he had finished or completed his practice, or brought his practice to its culmination, he said, then you will be able to benefit beings in Central Tibet and in Kham. And so this is the prophecy that Gampopa made.
区的中部跟东部的众生。
다딘디 감상가주 스스디 드링가상에 값을 봐봐나 리탕 스스들라 데네체 감보 강하라기 네데 들라 차교래 콜로 덴족이 네 요라서기도 된데 되니니 천 감상가주 선디 좀 말해.
所以呢，冈波布大师呢，招待了
And so
杜松谦吧，那么他就如说的修行呢，在所谓的冈波冈拉这个地方呢，做了很多的长期的修持，然后也到了礼堂这个地方去修持。那由于他的所有的修持呢，所以呢
And so in this way, he was later therefore called by the name Dusen Kempa, the knower of the three times.
我们说他也有另外一个名字叫做独松谦吧，就是遍知三世者。
Is that Dusen Kempa did his practice at Kampo Gandra. So Kam is from the Kampo Gandra, and Tsang means family, the Kam family. It's the family of Kampo Gandra. Kampo Gandra
那么我们说这个
is a
Gamma
sacred
呢，
site
就是
of
冈这个名称，因为这个第一世大宝法呢，独松谦吧他的修持的地方呢就是冈波冈让，所以冈再加上仓就是这个大众住的地方，所以叫冈仓。
네 대전주기 야대로도 네 가마보 담보도 숨캠바 네 야라네 담보디야 도스토비어서냐 파모도 파마장 그래남 다 청년 첨부도와 삼미스버요 말에 미스인데 남도 마보로.
Now you might be wondering why in this prayer
所以也许你会觉得说，为什么在这个祈请文里面呢，我们说是冈桑嘎举？最主要是写这个祈请文的这个长巴桑伯，他是属于。
So he had a connection to the Kamsang lineage. And so the lineage that he studied came from the first Karmapa, Dusen Kempa. You might think to yourself, why isn't he mentioning Pamadrupa? Why isn't he mentioning one of the other lamas? And the reason for this is because of the connection of the lineage. Otherwise, it's possible that we might be suspicious about it.
所以呢，大家可能是说，为什么呢？
这公大龙살보듯이 천 양계 동기도 가리나 다 삼세의 체질 중계 랍송 다 되게 욕라데 디레 되게 대 양계 동용도스 다 되게 공라 체질 중계 선데 대장라야 추교 중계장라 인사 말레스 가시기 다 공자도스 남겨래 갑디디 뒤디 다다야레 콘 넘버기 제버텔레디 제공하나야 되네지 삼지 메자바 다 게데바레 단다갑라 달롱 이나야 게데바레 살바야나야 게데바레 발든 주바야나야 두투 메투 바두다 자콤부 닐람 잡지 되네지 레바자냐 찹데기요세 되네기 게자요레 되네가 다다양 게심바레 콘 넘버 제버텔레디 신레장 학버게 게베 셈 믹세도 된다 사마게 캔데도 된 믹세도 바레 더버지 땡기도.
Now the prayer continues, the Drikung and Taklung and Salpa great Drukpa.
So
you might wonder, why are these four mentioned? I mean, isn't it repetitious? We've already talked about the 4 elder and the 8 younger. We've already mentioned them. So why are these 4 being singled out? You might think some people say that this is a reason why the 4 elder and the 8 younger must refer to someone else, to these students of Dusen Kempa. But in any case, the reason why they are singled out here is但
其实呢，为什么在这里呢？这个作者长巴桑伯他特别提出来呢？说直贡草巴竹巴嘎举是非常的有名的。然后竹巴嘎举呢，大龙巴嘎举呢，草巴嘎举，他们那个时候呢是非常的繁荣。那么他们有很多这个就是全反义的复义的这个一切行者，然后他们的这个佛行事业是非常广大、不可思议的。所以呢，作者呢，这个祈请文的作者呢，长巴桑伯就特别提出。
Lama komatsul debake naire tene keben chenpo chungyo re tende miksegi
So I think that it's because when you mention the names, then students who have faith in those lineages will hear the names. They'll feel included. They'll feel like there's a connection, and they'll feel more faith. And this is really beneficial.
会有信心，所以是有利益的。
창말라 대바케고 그래 소와 답고 그래 다 제주도 고무고 그래서 다 검사기 율 담바에 바셰 드네 율기 윤된데서 야보셰나 드네 딜라라싱기 셈라 당도 이제기 대바디 깨용거래 된 율디 담바에 바 뭐마트바나 된 딜라지 대바케 용교어 말해 된 아란속이 되네 규바대 규바 짱마에 바 만에다는 야간네 다 도시장 델라나로 변에 말바메라 다 데네마 라마 삼지 규바데야 데네 투규 마네 이르메 직제 접어서래 다 등규 인도 갑살라 찍니 줄로 투규 표현도 야 데네도 규바 자침보데 자침보에 봐 뭐셔야 돼 개침보래
The prayer continues, and others who've mastered Mahamudras profound path and equal protectors of beings, the Dapo Kagyu, we supplicate you, Kagyu Gurus, we uphold your lineage. Please bless us to follow your example. And so these are all masters who have practiced Mahamudra, who've completed or perfected the practice of Mahamudra. They are all worthy of having faith in. We should supplicate all of them. We should visualize them all as being above the top of our heads. So these are great masters whom we are visualizing, great beings, and when we understand and know their qualities, then naturally what will happen is that we'll feel great, sincere faith and longing. If the people whom you're supplicating to aren't great beings, then you won't feel such faith. And so these are great beings. The lineage is very pure. The lineage of Vajradhara, in India, then Marpa and Mila and so forth, and the Tibetan masters, these are all a lineage of where all the masters are the same in their wisdom minds. They are all masters of the ultimate lineage, the ultimate transition that's passed down from one Lama to one student. And so they are inseparable in their minds. And so when we understand how important they are and their qualities and recognize them, it's very beneficial and is very important for us.
像这样的传承的祈请呢是非常重要的，大家应该知道。
아마마요 말에 되네 부중중 잡으지네 또 나양 의결에 차나양 의결에 나나양 의결에 가르마지버 가르주나야 무대결에 되네 아마디 란싱기 된 수수부 주인데 제와기 용결에 제버전 되나신 아란수 솔와 대고르다 지된지 감들라 지 동알지 라신바 다 동알들레 캡 고연 셴범매바 다자 다다갑서 잡건데 수수기 등유지 라마드선데 단 라마드설라 소와 양니 양도 답 단전세고고래 된 다다기 제수진
因此，我们在念受传承祈请文的时候呢，我们要非常的热烈的、热诚的来做祈请。这个祈请呢，就像一个孩子呢，对母亲呢，这样子非常，好像就是苦苦哀求这样一个心情。因为呢，这个一个小婴儿呢，他是唯有母亲作为他的医护，不管是不舒服的时候，这个饿的时候、口渴的时候呢，等等，都是只能依靠他的母亲而已。而母亲呢，也是非常自然的，非常爱这个孩子。一切的世间呢，他的这个根本呢，就是苦。
mother. And so in this way, we need to
当我们
supplicate
呢
the
在向
gurus.
上师祈求呢，就像孩子呢向母亲呢这样，有上师才是唯一的医护，因此我们要向上师来做祈请。
And so when we pray to them, we pray to the gurus that
在
we
向上
may
师做祈请的
also
时候呢，
gain
不
the
是只有
same
一次
siddhis,
两
the
次，
same
而是要一
accomplishments that
再
they
一
have
再的
within their
来做祈请，
their
提醒我
minds.
们
As we
的
pray with faith and
修
devotion,
正
then
呢，能够他
naturally
们
our
一模一样，
perceptions
完全一
change.
如，
And
一直要
so
到我们的
naturally
一直
we will
的
develop the
感受呢都转变的，
uncontrived faith.
而自然而然升起的信心。
저는 접촉한 그룹 부채기 송샤바데 마직 대수지 안다 록베 출더버지니 직슈샤바나 림부치 진랍데 대케 넘발라 주 대케 넘베 줄라 대바다 무기베라 펜토그레 삼기도데 에나야다 뒤서 당기면 하고 미도.
So we have only a very short time. I thought
因为我们的
that I
时间
might
不多，
read
所以呢，我
some
想
of the words of
这里要
Kagyu
念一些过
Rinpoche's
去偏前创人的一些他
teachings
过去
on
曾
this.
经教过这个祈
I
请
don't
我
know
们
that
的
if you
天
hear
点
this, I
内容的
think
一
it
部
might
分。
help you. It'll
那
bring you some
我觉得
benefit,
如果我
help you
念
develop
其
some
中的
faith and devotion.
一段的话，
And so if you, I think if you hear this, that'll help you. It may be helpful. Whether we have time is a different matter.
다른 무책이 되는 summarize 더버지 인부더버 마직 슈샤나로와 차게 첨부 맹아디 토마르 간이 중바레스 안 야와 도장의 중바레스.
So where do the instructions, to
所以
summarize
创
what
文节
Rinpoche
他
says, where do the
的
instructions on
这个开
Mahamudra
示
come
呢，
from?
如
They
果我
come
们
from Vajradhara.
这总结他的精华来说的话，
주 탐제 산지 차게 투버게 숨바레 디니 멤버 차게 첨부 맹아디 도제창의 중바 간지 남세 태좀사스기레스.
Now, some people might have the
有
doubt
些人也许会
because
有一点
generally
怀疑，
Buddhism comes
因
from
为
Shakyamuni.
我们
So
说
why do we say
释迦
that
牟尼佛呢是
these
一切
instructions on
佛法的根
Mahamudra
源？
came from
那为什么我们说
Vajradhara?
这个大手印的传承是由金刚总师传下来的？
It's as I said yesterday. In general, there
昨天我
are
们
the
曾经说
three.
过，
The Buddha
释
has
迦
the three
牟尼
natures,
佛
the
或者
nature of the
说
three
佛呢，
kayas, the
他
Dharmachakra,
有
Sambhogakaya,
三
and
身，就是
Nirmanakaya.
法身、报身、化身，它是这三身的总集。
And
所
so,
谓这三身呢，第一个
as
法
I said
这个
yesterday,
法身呢，
the
就是
Dharmakaya is the nature
诸佛的
of
词
the wisdom mind of the Buddhas, and then then for the sake
智慧。
of
那么
beings to be
为了利益
to
众
be
生的缘
tamed
故
or
呢，就
subdued,
会化
the Buddha takes
现
the
有这个
form kayas of either the
幻
Sambhogakaya
化的
or the
身体。
Nirmanakaya.
那这幻化身体就分两个，一个是报身，一个是化身。
Now, the form that
那么
woke to Buddhahood in
这个化
Bodhgaya
身
and
其中
turned
这
the
个
wheel of Dharma is
所谓的
the
报身和化身，
supreme
它的化
Nirmanakaya.
身就是转法轮的这个身呢，就是化身。
And the mind of the supreme Dharmanakaya, of the supreme Nirmanakaya, the wisdom mind, the essence of the
那么
wisdom
可是
is
它所现的虽然是有
the
化身，但
Dharmakaya.
是这化身的它的体性是什么呢？是智慧的体性。那智慧体性也就是法身。
And the Dharmakaya appears to
那
disciples
么
who have pure
法身
pure
呢，
karma
也
in
可
the
以
form
幻化
of
为
the
报
Sambhogakaya.
身。这个化身是初地上菩萨才能见到。
And so when we talk about
因此
Vajradhara,
我
when we
们
see
说
images
金
of
刚总
Vajradhara,
师，
he is
那么也有
blue
看
in
到金刚
color,
总师
holding a
的
Vajra and bell,
身
wearing all
形，
the
我们可以
ornaments
说
of the
唐卡呢是蓝
Sambhogakaya.
色的，
And
然
so
后
this
拿
is
着
what we
金。
mean when we speak of the Dharmakaya Vajradhara.
它是代表佛的法身。
So for a student, for disciples with pure karma, the great bodhisattvas, they're able to meet these Sambhogakars and receive teachings directly from them. So the second master in our lineage is Tilopa, who was able to actually see Vajradhara, and who himself said, I have no human gurus, my guru is the Dharmachakra Vajradhara.
亲见金刚总师接受他的教法，因此他说：“我的上师不是人，因为我的上师就是金刚总师。”
And so when we talk about the Buddha Shakyamuni and the Buddha Vajradhara, they are the same in essence, so there is no difference between the
其实这两位呢，他们的体性当然是一如的，没有任何不同。
So our instructions on, Pith instructions on Mahamudra are very pure. Tilopa received them directly from the Dharmachakra.
这个大手印传承是第六巴大师所传下来，而这个法呢是法身佛金刚总是直接传给他的。而第六巴的弟子呢，把这个法有从第六巴那里呢，受法之后就传下来，所以这个传承呢，大手印传承呢，在整个西藏传开，它是一个非常亲近的传承。
So Marpa passed the lineage to Milarepa, then to Gampopa, and then to Dusun Khenpa. And then the one who is inseparable from Dusun Khenpa in wisdom mind is the 17th Gyalwa Karmapa Ujjayi Dorje. And so this is a lineage of great blessings. It's a short, uninterrupted lineage and very pure.
而且没有间断也是非常的亲近。
So it's one lineage. The minds are the same. The forms of the body are slightly different, but in actuality, the minds are the
所以他们的身体所实现实体不一样，但是他们每一位上有任何分别的。
The opportunity for us our opportunity to practice is an incredibly great fortune.
所以能够有这个机会去修持大手印这个法呢，是极为有福气的。但是呢，只是觉得自己很幸运能够得到这个法门，是不够的，一定要去实际的修持。
So in order to practice properly, as I mentioned yesterday, the first thing we
那么要
need
怎
to
么样
do
做
is
修
we
持
need
呢？
to
要
listen
正
to
确
the
修
Dhamma.
持，就首先要听闻佛法。
Now Rinpoche also says that no matter who
张文
does
杰
practice
在
of
他的
Mahamudra,
教
they
法里
can
面
do it, and it is
也
beneficial.
说，那么大手印这个法呢，是谁可以修呢？不管如何呢，谁修的人呢，一定都是能够得到利益的。
Now, in general, when you are practicing in
一般
order
来
to
说的
develop
话
the samadhi of Mahamudra, you need to do
如果
both
要
the
能够获得
preliminary
大
and
手
the
印
actual
的
practice of
禅
Mahamudra,
定
as
的
Rinpoche says.
禅修呢，就必须要去实修的。
So in terms of practicing, going through the stages of the practice, as our Kagyu gurus show us, that it doesn't matter who you are, we can all practice them. As an example, for lay people, there is the example that Marpa gave, who was a lay person. And as a lay person was able to do the practice of Mahamudra and achieve the supreme
所以不管
accomplishments.
在家出家呢，大家都是可以修持大手印的。
옛날에 소소소기 되졌으니 다 니마직라 가마가 주쟁아 되졌으니 되네 냠len 제바이나 김바이나야 되네 자제참 공부했나 되네 뭐네 제부터 배워 버렸어.
So we're all really busy, of course. We have busy lives. But if we make the time to practice Mahamudra, whether we're making even 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day, if we do the practice of Mahamudra, we can achieve results.
大手印的话呢，还是会有利益，会有结果的。
And some people, when they practice the Dharma, feel like they need to do it like really pretty simply or in a pretty ascetic way. And so if you'd like to do that, you can also practice like Milarepa.
非常的苦修。那如果想这样的人呢，那就可以像密勒巴大师这样。
And so he was able to practice in a very yogic way. He gave up all worldly activities and devoted himself to practice.
像密勒巴一样，一切都放下去修持，也有这样的。 但是呢，就是指的在家。那如果是出家呢，也是当然可以修持经了，可以修持大手印。譬如冈波罗大师，他就是出家人。
And they all practiced
所有这些过去祖师们呢，他们都是修持大手印而得到证悟的。
Lutin la Hebramindus, Kimbaina, Digidus, Totally Chatalwena, Digidus, Yana Shingi, Rabjungina, Digidus, Chaja Chamber, Yamlen Nangala, then the Mixegi, then Gase, Kansat and the Chikodus, Meba, Tarikome Yomare, Kiupomo Yomare, Sugin Yamlen Chetunaya, then Toba, Nye Yore, then Chaja Chamber Tobon, the Jure Yore, Tita. Come to me to the Yamlen Jet to me to the Casa Sosola Labores.
所以修行者呢，
And so when we're doing the practice, our lifestyle is not
是没有
doesn't
阶
make a
级
difference whether
之
we're
分的，
lay
没有
people,
上下
whether
之
we're
分的，
yogis,
不
or
管是
whether we
过
are
什么生
monastics.
活，什么样的生活
It
方
doesn't
式呢，
really matter
都是可以去修
what
持
type
大手
of
印，也是
individual
可
we
能证
are.
得大手印
Anyone
的。
can practice
所以
Mahamudra.
到
There's
底
no
能
difference,
证不能
male,
证呢，并不
female,
是
no matter
因为
what.
你是
There's
什
no
么人，而
lay
是
or
看
monastic
你
or
是不
whatever.
是
There's no difference. We
一个
can
修
all
行好好
practice
的修行人。
Mahamudra. We can all manifest the realization of Mahamudra. So whether we are able to practice and able to meditate really depends mostly upon each of ourselves.
The day the data Mondu Girimba, the Jubi Rimbas Namindo, Jubi Lama Namki, Rimbadi Sarbare.
所以前面这个部分呢，我们就为大家解释了这个前行的部分。所以前行就是讲到了大手印传承的持有的祖师们。
And so then in terms of the discussion of the actual practice, there are two parts. There's like an overview and then a detailed teaching. And so the overview is primarily teaching about the preliminaries. And so Rinpoche divides this into 5 different topics.
就把这个部分呢分成5个主题。第一个是扎行， 第二个是厌离心。第三呢，就是
So in terms of the preliminary parts, there are two topics here. There is revulsion as the legs of meditation and devotion as the head of meditation. And the main practice has again has two parts. It has the main practice of being undistracted and the nature of the essence of thought being the Dharmachakra. And so these teach the shamatha and insight meditation. And so then the last, so that makes four topics so far. And the last topic is discussing conduct, the dedications, and all our birds may we never be separate, and so forth. And so for the common preliminaries, this is in the root, and to read from a slightly different translation. Just as revulsion's taught to be the legs of meditation, this meditator does not cling to any food or wealth, and severs all the ties that bind me to this present life. Please bless me to be unattached to honor or to gain. So the first thing that is important for someone who wants to practice Mahamudra is to do the preliminaries. These preliminaries are like the legs of meditation.
对于世间的一切的这个贪执呢，这个厌离心呢是非常重要。
And so when we think about the nature of samsara, if we think of samsara as being like a pit of fire, as being by nature suffering, when we really think about this, then we can develop revulsion for samsara. If we just let it remain words, then it's not so beneficial for us.
罗刹的地方是要远离的，所以不是只有说，也真是要心里真正的升起远离之心。
So the great lamas were able to actually see that this is the nature of samsara. We aren't able to see it, but they did. For example, Sampo really could see that the nature of the three realms of samsara was like a pit of fire. And so he was able to feel revulsion from deep within for the three realms of samsara. So he was able to go to the island of Semado in the Dhamchoe in Tibet and practice.
岛上呢做的非常长久的修持。
Tena kangbo di pesha ondu kala shenlo komje kangbo na shenres ne ta khorwala shenba yona ne chaja chambo komtu mares chaja chambo nyamlen tharchike mares kangbo di tene yobaina kawa dugo samna drotu gres kangbo di mebaina kawa dro samna semge samna yang tene drotu be yomarang tan injing miji mission chila taptung go do deman soso ge drotu be ne boyo mare dinna shingi surul tene kamsum korwin nene parul tarbadang tamje chembo ko ma drobar jabal tene shemba loya di pegye chembo res di kangba na shin res la 白下白子嘞。
So when we talk about revulsion,
我们
revulsion
讲
means that you
到
don't like
对于轮
something.
回的厌离
You
心，
look at it,
所以
you
厌离
feel
就是不
revolted
喜
by
欢
it,
的
you
意
think
思，
it's no good.
想要
I
离
mean,
开的意
the
思。
Tibetan word
但是我
literally
们
means feeling
平
nauseous
常呢
about something. So you think about something
也
that makes
是
you feel
会
nauseous.
有时候呢，
To just
这个事情不
basically
顺利
it
的时
means
候，
that
不
you
高兴
think
的
that
时候，我会说
samsara is no good and not beneficial. And when we talk
真
about
是
it as being the
很令人
legs of
很
meditation,
烦，
well, if you
很受
don't
不了
have
等等。
legs, it's really hard to go
但
anywhere.
是这个呢，就是暂时的一
Similarly,
种
if
情
you
况。
don't
我
have
们真正
revulsion
升起的
from
甚深的
samsara,
这
you
个
might try
对厌离
meditating on
这个
Mahamudra, but
世
you will
俗的
not
厌
get
离心
anywhere.
呢
You will not be able to
是一
receive
种对
any benefit,
世间的这种苦
receive, gain
是
any
真正的
result
深
from
刻
the
了解
Mahamudra
的，然后呢，
meditation.
才能升起呢真正的
If you
厌
have
离心
legs,
的。
you can go someplace.
我们在这期我
But
们
if you
基金
don't
文里
have
面
any
说到
legs,
教
then
人
you may
离欲即
want
为
to
想
go
修足，
someplace, but it's
所以
really
离
hard
欲
to go.
就
You
是
need someone to
厌离
help with
心
someone
对
or
于
something
轮
in
回的
order to
厌离
go. You
心，
can't go
就
all
像
by yourself.
脚
And
脚
so if
一
we
样，
want
有
to
脚的
go
人话
from
呢，
this
他要到哪
side,
儿
the
呢，就
three
可以
realms
去。
of samsara,
你如果没有
over
两
to
只
the
脚的话
other
呢，
side,
到哪
the
儿
state
就
of
去
liberation
不了
and
了。
omniscience, then
所
we
以
need
呢，厌离
legs
心
to
就
be able
像
to
这样，
go.
就
We
像一
need
个
to
人有个
have
脚一样，
revulsion.
能够呢从这边的轮回呢到彼岸去，到的这个没有轮回的清净的安乐的彼岸。
And so, the
因此，
basic
我们一
meaning
开
is
始的
if you
基
don't
础
have
就
revulsion,
是
you
要
won't be able to do the
对
main
于
practice well. If
轮
you
回
don't
呢
feel
要有厌离心，
revolted by the
因为
three
如果没有
realms
厌离
of
心呢，就没有办法
samsara, then
修
you will
持得
not be
很
able
好。
to do the
如果没有
actual practice of Mahamudra well.
厌离心呢，就没有办法好好的修持大手印，也就没有办法能够超离处理轮回。
드네 세 노르 코르 요보 민 냔자 토 권에서인들라 셴발로거다 대상마 요샤고라 네바탕고라 칼라 사냥에 마르벨라나 덴데 마레스 노르 고기 마르베스나 데 고기레스 칼라 사고라 노르 고기레데 에나 노르 장장던도 칼라지 저거 잡삼 중반에 되거래 신부나네 신부 약부나네 약부 디메나 사기메 디인지미저 터버스 덴데 셴바 쇼바이나 는 안주 칼라기 왕라 쇼레 는 노르기 왕라 쇼레 디란 좀네 된 최제로 용기 마레스 검자로 용기 마레스 답대버 제바나
下面一句讲到于诸饮食财宝无贪执，这
这
里讲到说饮食财宝无贪执，就是指的要舍去对这些东西，不管是饮食财宝、名誉等等这些呢，都是要舍去对他们的贪着。可是是不是说那就不要吃，然后也都不要有任何钱，都穷光蛋一个呢？那不是这样的。我们说是不要去有所贪执，我们当然还是需要吃东西，就是说吃的时候呢，不要贪着美味，只要吃饱了就可以了，不一定要吃这个，然后很挑食，然后非得那个或这个才可以。所以基本他的意思就是说，这些世俗东西呢，不要去贪着。
We have come, then we have now fallen under the control of food. We've fallen under the control of money.
因为呢，如果呢，有所贪着的话呢，就会被你所贪执的这个对象呢，贪着的东西呢，所控制了，那么就没有办法好好的做修持。
사자카시엘라슈 연다데 속에 되네세 추바풀 다세 레드네 추바풀도가라 지중기도 세연도가 오다 진달라야 펜사 마레 마야 셈 남야 원도 쇼르사데 아니 개추 보통연사 마레 딜레다 네데 뼈니 단지 잡고 주포증네 지글 뼈네 도스 페도가 메멜롱동로 데 페도 그래서 다 셀라 샴바메베 따레 근데 민라 샴바메바 잡어나야 바유 잡을라 페도가라 호금 제보기 지즈밀라 자가나라 페로제라도 지즈밀라 페요 말에 마란서 잡으나 다 제보다 롬보 미침부 깨다침부지 용로젤라나다 다 방암자 저해라 남기래 다 가두도남 다 데두가라 양파르데 요담메담 당 어디다 투들라네 당 어미에다 다 된데지니 용거래 민라 샴바요데 콘남바 민라 샴바요 말에 딜라테네 세미행 조고도 딜라테네 개줄 제조고도 개와 공별도 조금이도 냠 공별도 조금이도 삼네 대소 잘라 공단 자기 메스 용고도 메스 또 주고요래 대소 산으로 콜라 차제메베 따데 되니 좀고 들러데네 주버 터버래
So we can read examples of this in the life stories of the great masters. For example, when we read about Milarepa, the life of Milarepa,
我们其实过去的祖师们对于世间的名利供养等等这些舍去都是非常好的一个典范的。
thought about this. He thought, oh, this isn't going to help me do any practice. This isn't going to help the sponsors. And so he moved. He went from one cave to the next so that no one could find him.
他就赶快搬走了，也不住在那个地方了。这表示他对于名利、财务等等的，他是完全没有任何的。所以那跟现在人是非常不一样。比如说现在的话呢，如果有生人呢，国王来邀请了，或是做大供养，那可能就是赶快照个相片啊，发在这个什么上头啊，那大家都会看到等等。所以这跟过去祖师们这种典范呢是差很远的。所以过去祖师们为什么能够有这么样的成就呢？因为他们对世间这些名利供养呢、受用呢，都是没有执着的。那由于这样的缘故呢，所以他们的觉受中悟呢，能够不断的增长，到最后得到成就。
샤우트바나 딜라 세대다 저기 검첸라 내 검첸도 연구요래
and severs all the ties that bind me to this present life. So severing the ties means that we have no ties to this life, and you're able to go off into a cave or someplace and meditate with complete focus and complete concentration on the practice of the pith instruction you received from your guru. And if you do this, then what you're called is a great meditator.
那么，所以如果经常对于上师呢恳切祈请呢，我们说他是一个大行者。
뒤에 발제된데 요한테 구르티 다 되들라야 셴바메 버진지 롭스네 다 지금 밀라기야 구르즈나라 숭이도아 나메메 다 식데탱이메도 간다 잡고나 슈도 가서라 콩 나나 네 팀메 바다 신나 무메메 바다 다 담자 죽러서 받는 샤 리트들을 치는 나저 상종 개발인스 근데 콜마부 숭요다 콘나바게 담자 템보 된데 제도가라 되네지 나나야 나 신나야 시 추랑 저기 박주 된데도 안줄로 타주디요 말에 메듀칼라 안주 검진 차도베요 말에 다 이나야 안주 규버증이 있을 공도야 규버증은 남다르진라 가주버 제장인스 라마 공부되는 난도스 당 안주 디 규버인데 디 나생지 강투도 제기인스네 되네지 소소소 켈렌제디 개첨부래
And so when they were able to, so when you're doing practice, sometimes what happens is that you get a little bit, sometimes it can be hard, sometimes you get sick, sometimes you have difficulties or problems, sometimes you don't feel well, and sometimes you can get discouraged, think, I can't do this, I can't do the practice.
那有时候我们修行时候呢，会有一些障碍的，也许我们也许生病了，或是这个那个的发生的时候呢，我们不应该呢就因此感到沮丧，应该要反之，好好的继续的修持。如果能够这样的话呢，就表示对我们对于这个世界呢是没有执着的。
It's like in a story from Milarepa, he was
譬如
meditating in a
密勒
cave,
巴
and
祖师
rather
的，
than
他在他的
read the
道观
word
里面说，
specifically,
他
basically what he
一直
said
都
is,
是在这个
I'm not afraid of
山
getting
洞里
sick,
面修
I'm not
持的。
afraid of dying, I'm
他
just going
说，
to devote
不
myself
管我生病也
wholeheartedly to
好，我
practice.
死
And
也好，
because he was
我
able
只
to
要
devote
一生
himself
呢都是不断
wholeheartedly
的
to practice, he was able to
专
achieve
心的修持
the
就好了。
results of this.
在
He
他的道观里
had a
面说到
strong
说，
commitment that
即
he
使
was, that no matter what, no matter whether he got sick,
我
no matter
生病的时候呢，
whether
没有
he
人在旁
died, he
边；
was going
我死的时
to
候，没有人在
devote
旁
himself
边哭。
entirely for practice. And as a
如
result
果
of
是
that,
这样的情
he
况，那我也
was
就心满
able
意
to
足了。
really achieve the results.
所以，
We do not have such a commitment ourselves, and for that reason, we are
但
not
是我们都是噶举
great
派的
meditators
弟子
the
们，
way they are.
所以我们只要能够这个以
But
我们噶举
we
派
say
的传承
when
祖
we
师们
say
作为
when
我们的
we
榜样，
uphold your
作为我们的
lineage,
典范，
or
好好这
uphold your lineage, then what we're saying is
跟
we
着他
would
们
like to
的
be
典
what
范
you
来
would
做
like to
修持的
become
话呢，
able to
这
do
才是
the
最重要
same
的。
as you.
那刚才俺就公读了呀，先不全部嘛这是，他先不当全部事情的，同我他们这个西着不差多嘞，天对先加帮过嘞送，但是呢，其实前边人讲，但是大家就是差不多上了送有了，吃的了先呢，确保面，他吃的了先把原呢，确保让他马嘞，但呢，俺让说大部分不这个送有了。 Luchus do or chingy lobs. Luchus dromana, luch, then tratu, dog guru, that the negi cheba, chagging windows. Then Luchus dober chaba, check then chugi, Dhammatebo gogodos. Then around so, the Koryugina re, then Chadranshingi, check then chugi, one of Shukchembo yore. So get some loya post down by na, some look madana, and the Shadahoma, some loya post down by na, then. 却让大家参与的民族，路确实这个的民族，所以说那样提我是当，所以说个连接改变呢，等下边喂，等下却不让大差民族啊，却不给西国人，也不是丁民族啊什么的，公检查的发展出去的，公中给啥子人来民族啊什么的，让给人我这不讲的呢，得了的呢，尊重什么都办呢，也不要人。
And so basically this is saying that you should have no clinging, because clinging and attachment are the basis for suffering.
意思
So
这
we
里
should
我
have no
们要
clinging.
强调就
It
是
is
对世
as
间一切不要有
Manjushri
任何的执
said
着，
to
因为
the Sakya
世间
master
的执着呢
Chandrapa.
就是一切苦的根源，
Drapa
所以
Gyaltsen,
呢
excuse me, the
对
Sakya master
世
Drapa
间呢
Gyaltsen.
要
If you
舍去执着。
cling to this life, you are
就
not
像
a
释迦派的祖
meditator.
师查巴galchen 他
So
说，
if you have
如果
clinging, then you're
对
not really
这一生呢有
not
所
really
执
able
着
to
的话呢，
meditate.
就不是
No,
真
excuse me, if you cling to this life,
真
you're
实
not
的
a
修
Dharma
行者。
practitioner. And Gampopa said the
所以
same thing. Please grant
这
your
个
blessings
冈波波
that
大
our
师
minds
他也
become
说
the Dharma.
奇迹加持
So
让我的
the
心呢
meaning of
能
this
够
is that if
入
we
于
are
佛法。
always attached to
所
things,
以我们对
attached
于
to our
世
bodies
间的
and
法呢，
food
就
and
必
so
须
forth,
要
then we're
舍
not
弃
an
的，
actual
不管是
Dharma
这个
practitioner.
得失名
So if you cling to this life, then you are not a practitioner.
成就等等
Similarly,
这
if
些都是要
we
去舍弃的。如果
want
对
our
这
minds
些
to become
不
the
舍
Dharma,
弃，
then
因
we
为
must
守执
not
着，那
let
就不是
our,
真
as
正的一个
Gampopa
行
said, we
者。
must not let our minds become
对于
mixed
世
with
间的
the
一切
eight
的舍弃
worldly
呢，
concerns. Now,
当
the
然我们
environment
现在
that
也许
we're
不是
in, we
真正
just
能够做得
naturally,
到
automatically have a
100%，
lot of
所以
involvement
我们
with
就
the
不
eight
是一个
worldly
所谓的普
concerns.
贤，就是大
We don't
修
even
行
think
者、
about
大
whether
禅修
we're
者。但至
attached
少
to the
呢，
eight worldly
我们也
concerns
许
or not.
可
We
以
don't
说，
know
我们可以
about
至少
that.
做
So
到
we
一个
need to
这个
look
拱胸，
inside
就是一
ourselves,
个
and we need to
小
ask
小
ourselves a
行者。
question. Are we attached to the eight concerns? Is this the eight concerns?
所以在我们的修持的过
Look
程
at
中，我
ourselves.
们经常要问自己：
And
那我
when
现
you
在
look
呢
at
所
yourself,
做
you
所
say,
行
oh, I
所
am
思呢，
attached
是
to
不
the
是
eight worldly concerns. This is one of the eight worldly
就
concerns.
是
Then you realize,
对世间
oh, I'm
执
not
着
an
的一
eight,
个情况
I'm
呢？
not
是不是？
really a Dharma practitioner. I'm not a true Dharma practitioner. I haven't got to that level yet. I'm attached to the eight worldly concerns. And so when we look at ourselves and we see in this way that we forget about even achieving the level of a great meditator, we haven't even achieved the level of a minor meditator.
到今年7年8的，今年他就是送了个儿子的，他往是这民多就是给往这嘛，
时间
他
已经
苦我了，现
到了啊。
在一种民是来的给的，苦我了，先不落过的是来的，这个的先落空， komki kangba in la ge da na da chedila ya shamba majes korwa la ya shamba dogores shamba mabana ani cheba yang bu chang mares de sung yore.
所以这个段落呢，最主要的
if you have causal correlation. Oh yeah, so the second. Oh yeah, so if you okay, yeah, so this is the second line by Dharmachakra reads, if you are attached, if you cling to samsara, you cannot have revulsion. So this is similar. If you are attached to samsara, then you really do not have revulsion for.
如果对这生呢没有舍去执着的话，就不是真正的行者了。中文翻译是没有错的。那我如何呢？
So in general, there are 4 lines in the Sakya, four freedoms from clinging. If you're attached to your self-interest, then you don't have bodhicitta. If you have any clinging, then you do not have the view.
如果
So we have such short time. It's a kind of
对此生还有执着，那就不是真正行者。那因为人们觉得，因为时间很短，所以他就觉得让很紧张，希望赶快把它都讲完。
So I would have liked to read more from Kagyu Rinpoche's text, but there's little time. He spends a lot of time speaking about impermanence. He speaks about how the way he describes it is that when you think about our food, our wealth, our friends, fame, and so forth, all of these are, none of these are stable and lasting. None are enduring. They are all impermanent. We need to be able to look at all of them and see them as being impermanent.
讲到了，但是呢，在这里我们没有时间讲太多。
Lodro number C, come capsula, the Mondo de la Tumung Mondo de Ta, Tumung de, take but Tumung la Tata, but what in the Tumung Mondo Senate, Tachur Nyakawa, Chiwa Metaba, Lekute, Kurwin Yime Sene, the Shitty, the name when it's in the Diabuchi, Anzo Samlo Tang, Nimataba. Samlo yang dang na tene shenpa chungru zhe shenpa chungru zhe nyamin la pokdong yong yate tene yong gyo re nganzu nang di samlo shida kur gyo ma re di ma kur du tene nganzu tene tong ya di yang su tse ba zha nian ba zhe xin ba ta tene ma botong du kala shenpa chero chero su la shenpa chero zha la shenpa chero zhe la tene do yong la shenpa chero tene chue je la chungru chungru ta tene yong gyo re.
所以我们在修持怎么样舍去对世间执着的时候呢，4种转心的思维是非常重要的。所以就是第一个思维呢，人生是非常的难得的，这个8种无暇等等。那第二个呢，就是思维呢无常。第三呢，就是思维因缘。第四呢，就是轮回的破坏。那么这些呢，都好也说思维。那这样的话呢，我们的执着就能够渐渐的减少了。那反之，如果不好好这思维的这个转心的思维呢，那么虽然是在修持佛法，但是呢，对世间执着呢，反而越来越大。对于色声香味等等的执着越来越。
Desola, the Anasing order to charging it in Desola. The Anasing Zabadu song, Kunsalam Shalon Zola. Then Yamlin Nantobana, the net Desola, then doing chickbore, the net sick tiny death Medayon Sigire, then Desusama, Pagina, Pejana, Shaba Maimba, Pejana, Song Shabade, Arangi, Semtola Kene, the next 6 Soratola, Nondola Chetobana. O dam mitsedi kewalenchi topdo tene tsedi yuntondon resha tene dadar debiring dala dewa kiba tajikba punun soba choko gudu dim tundamla the next Nazo Kazuji, tell us Suzu Chegudu. That's it. Then during when the dam in the Chigudu, Chibi Capsula and Kibu Tebo Yabuji, Yonsarebe Samlotana, Chiwala, Tati Kayanji, Amananjogi, Chivi Chetolatane, the Yuyagi, the net Karsana, Yamlen Tabotang, Ting Tobotabo, Kayomare, Tin the Tatane Subsubject, Chiwala, Tramagoje, Chisana, Bardola, Dongan Mogovaji. Nekiwa Samboji Lengo Baji, Suzu Sosoki Jegu, Mishengi Janda Digimidu Same, the Netila Tambo and Milutic, Sachimba Bate, Yaboji Shebaje, Nibodi, the Nedila, Metaba in Baya, Yaboji Shebaje, the Netewa Govina, Lay Sambo Society, Bemisi Kachimbo in Bat, said the Tanchimanigala, Tewa Govina, you lay Sambo Sago Gudu, laying in Bapangu Gudu, the Zoyabo Shebachebana. Setila kiba chimala kiba de soso soko gore and the rest of na Samsung and the so sadwa.
So if you want to read about or learn about this in more detail, you can read, there are many different texts you can read. There's the Jewel of Liberation by Gampopa. There is also the instructions on the preliminary practices, the torch of true meaning. Likewise, there is by Gampen Control Lodro Tai. There's Patra Rinpoche's Words of My Perfect Teacher. And if you can read these and put them into practice, that is very good. And when you read this, you shouldn't, they all teach the same thing. They use different words, different ways of expressing it, but this, what they're teaching is all the same. But when you practice it, we shouldn't just leave it as words on the page, just words in the text. We need to actually try to put them into practice and develop some experience of them so we can actually feel them in this lifetime. We need to make it so that we can actually experience them. This life is short, and we spend our times very. We have an incredible opportunity as humans, but we spend all our times busy trying to bring ourselves pleasure and happiness, and prosperity. And then, but eventually we are going to come to the time of death, and what will happen to us at that time of death? We will have made no preparations for that time. And we've spent, because we spend all our time looking for pleasure, and happiness and prosperity in this lifetime, then we're unable to practice, unable to make any, unable to do any practice, and we're unable to have any confidence at the time of death. So if we want to have confidence at the time of death, if we want to come to a state where we feel no fear at the time of death, or when we have no difficulties in the or when we take our next birth, then we need to meditate on practice in this lifetime. So we need to recognize how precious this human body is, how important it is. We need to remember that it is impermanent. We need to remember that our happiness depends upon our good actions, both in this lifetime and in future lifetimes. And understanding this, we need to do as much as we can to practice good actions and to give up bad actions. And so this is important for us to gain confidence. And so we are out of time, so I think this is the end of our session for today.
那今天呢，时间已经到了，所以我们到此为止。
We will leave the session here today. Please dedicate the virtue for the benefit of all sentient beings.
也一切众生，令他们能够得到利益安乐。